Welcome back to Figuring It Out. I'm your host, Rachel Lee. If you're new here, this is a space where we talk honestly about life, healing, relationships, grief, emotional patterns, survival mode, and basically all the complicated human stuff people usually just try to simplify online. And if something in this episode resonates with you, follow the podcast, leave a review, or send it to somebody who might need to hear it too. All right. This episode is probably going to piss some people off, but that's okay. It wouldn't be the first time, and truthfully, it probably won't be the last. I've been sitting on this for a while because the more relationship content I see online, the more I keep asking myself the same question. Where the hell did reciprocity go? Because everywhere I look, I see advice telling men what they should do for women. A real man should provide, protect, understand her emotions, create emotional safety, should communicate, be patient, and let her be soft. That sounds great. And I agree with all of it. Women deserve emotional safety. Women deserve respect. Women deserve healthy relationships. But here's my question. Why are we acting like men don't need those same things? Why are we only talking about emotional safety like it's something women need? Why are we only talking about being understood like women are the only ones carrying wounds? And why are we only talking about patience, compassion, understanding, and grace flowing in one direction? Healthy relationships aren't supposed to work like that. So today I want to talk about reciprocity, what it actually means, why I think we've lost sight of it, and why I think it's affecting the way people view relationships. So let's get into it. Reciprocity is one of those words that sounds way fancier than it actually is. In real people language, it means we show up for each other. We support each other. We care about each other. We create safety for each other. Basically, we pour into each other. Not perfectly, not equally every single day, because life doesn't work like that. Sometimes one person is struggling. Sometimes one person needs more support. Sometimes one person is carrying more. That's normal. But if one person is constantly giving while the other person is constantly receiving, that's not reciprocity. That's not partnership. That's an agreement. Somewhere along the line, we started confusing being cared for with never having to care for anybody else. Because healthy relationships do require two people, both people, not just one person carrying the entire emotional load while the other person simply receives the benefits. The reason this hits differently for me than it might for someone else comes down to basically one thing. I'm raising two sons. I want my boys to grow into good men. I want them to communicate. I want them to be emotionally available. I want them to know how to treat people and love well, be respectful, and show up. But I also want them to know that they deserve those things too. Because I don't want my sons growing up believing their only value is in what they can provide. I don't want them believing that they have to earn love through performance. I don't want them believing their role is to endlessly pour into someone who never pours back. I want them to know they deserve emotional safety too. They deserve understanding. They deserve compassion. They deserve relationships where they can be vulnerable, where they can struggle, basically where they can be human. Because men are human too. And somewhere along the way, I feel like we've forgotten that. Here's the thing. Most of what we know about relationships, we didn't learn in a classroom. I mean, I, for one, am fully okay with admitting that nobody sat me down and taught me healthy relationships. Nobody taught me communication. Nobody taught me reciprocity. Nobody taught me emotional safety. I have learned by watching, or lack of it, therefore, in some cases, right? But I have observed relationships, marriages. I watched people stay. I watched people leave. I have watched what worked, and I've watched what didn't work. And my kids have learned the same way because people don't teach relationships. They model them. Kids are watching everything. How we communicate, how we argue, how we handle stress, how we treat ourselves, how we treat our partners, what we tolerate, what we expect, and what we accept. They're watching all of it. And then we grow up wondering why people have completely different expectations of relationships. A lot of those expectations were observed long before they were ever really consciously chosen. Which brings me to the part of this conversation that actually gets under my skin. I hear people talk all the time about women needing a safe place to land. And I agree. I want a safe place to land. Women deserve a safe place to land. But so do men. I want a relationship where both people feel safe, where both people can be vulnerable, where both people can say, hey, I'm struggling. Hey, I'm overwhelmed. Hey, I'm not okay right now, without feeling like they're about to lose somebody's respect. Because real intimacy isn't pretending you're strong all the time. It's being able to be honest. And trust me when I tell you, I'm still learning this. The older I get, the less interested I am in relationships that are solely built on performance. And I've had to acknowledge, I don't need perfection. I do need honesty, communication, and somebody willing to be real. And in return, I want to be able to offer all those same things. Because emotional safety isn't supposed to be a one-way street. And there's one more piece of this I need to say out loud. If you've hurt somebody, if you've broken their trust, if you've left wounds behind, if you've decided you don't want to be in that relationship anymore, then let them heal. Leave them alone. One thing I've never understood is people who don't want the relationship but don't want the other person to move on either. You don't want them, but you don't want anybody else to have them. You don't want the commitment with them, but you still want that connection. That's not love. Sometimes people confuse access with love. Been there, done that. Yep, got it. But if you genuinely decided you don't want someone, let them heal. Let them move on. Let them find peace in the way that they need to. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let someone go heal without needing continued access to them. But that's a conversation people don't have nearly enough. So before we wrap up, if there's one thing I want you to take from this episode, it's this. Healthy relationships aren't built on one person constantly pouring into the other. They're built on reciprocity, not perfection, not keeping score, not 50-50 every single day, but two people who care about each other's humanity, two people who care about each other's well-being, two people who create emotional safety for each other. I don't want relationships where one person gets to be vulnerable and the other person is expected to carry everything. I want two people showing up for each other. Maybe that's old-fashioned, but the healthiest relationships I've ever seen were built on one person doing all the work. They were built on two people choosing each other over and over again. That's worth remembering. So if this episode resonated, please make sure you're following the podcast, leave a review or share it with someone who needs to hear it. I'm Rachel Lee, and I'll see you next time as we keep figuring it out.